Today's session is on opening statements. We saw what are the qualities of the mediator, and in today's session, in the opening statement, these qualities and how the process of mediation goes forth will be explained by the mediator to the two people who have come to him or her. Yes. So what the mediator does is, first there will be opening statement by the mediator explaining his role and the process of mediation. After that, the two people who have come to him or her will explain their perspective of the problem. Subsequently, the mediator will summarize what each of the two people have said. In case of any queries, there will be clarifications. And after that, one goes to the problem solving, which will be in the next session.
I'm the landlady of the apartment.
Yeah. Now, what does the party tell the mediator? First of all, the mediator and the parties, they need to introduce themselves. The party will mention, what is his name and where does he stay, what does he do. Basically, getting familiar with one another to establish the rapport. So here, the signpost is the mediator. He is reaching out to the two people, assisting them and facilitating them in coming to the resolution of the problem that they are having. Now, as already stated, the mediator can ask what happened. In case of any query, he can summarize and clarify. So these are some of the issues. So in today's session, we will be having a role play of the landlord and tenant problem. Here we have two people, Mrs. Reddy and Mrs. Chelappa, who are respectively the tenant and the landlord. And they are facing a problem in that one of them is not vacating the apartment that they are staying in. So then this leads to issues, and the association president, she is trying to assist them and help them out with the problem. So here we'll see how the mediation starts. Can I request Mrs. Chelappa, Mrs. Reddy?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. And Sandhya ma'am also, mediator. So, this is the mediator, the association president, and she is Mrs. Chelappa, the landlord of the apartments, and this is Mrs. Reddy. Now I request Sandhya ma'am to show us how the opening statement is done.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Mrs. Sandhya. I'm the president of the Apartment Association. And I really appreciate Mrs. Chellappa and Mrs. Reddy to have come voluntarily today for this meeting so that they can resolve the issue between them. And I hope that both of you have the authority to take decisions on behalf of your husbands also, because it's equally important. And what I would like to tell you is I am going to be the neutral person here. I'm not here to make any decisions on your behalf. And I'm here only to facilitate proper communication between the two of you so that we can resolve the issue. Okay. And I request both of you to not to interrupt each other. I know that it could get a little emotional, but still I request you to maintain the decorum by not interrupting each other. Be respectful to each other. Okay. And once an agreement has been reached mutually between the two of you, we would probably be going for an agreement which you both have to sign, so that we know that you are going to stand by the terms of the agreement. Okay. And all that we are going to discuss in the meeting today, it's going to be completely confidential. And today I'm meeting both of you. So if required, I might meet each of you singly also. And all such meetings would be confidential, and I'm not going to reveal it to the other party at any point of time, unless you give the consent to do the same. Okay, so shall we start?
Yes,
okay. Since Mrs. Chellappa was the first one to approach me regarding the issue, I would request Mrs. Chellappa to go ahead and tell us about the issue from her point of view.
I'm the landlady of the apartment in T Nagar, which is a plush area in the heart of our Chennai city that Miss Reddy has taken for lease. Our family has lived in this beautiful apartment of this plush locality for a considerable period of time. I was married into this house, God knows how many years ago. My husband, he's a very busy senior functionary in an organization. He got transferred that we decided to give our flat on rent. Had it not been the case, we would love to stay here only. Never a thought has had occurred from the past so many years to shift from here to somewhere else. Considering such attachment with the apartment, only on a well-wisher's advice, we gave the flat on rent to Miss Reddy. Before giving the flat on rent for a perfect stay, for their perfect stay, we got the flat distempered and done up exclusively. Then suddenly things changed. COVID-19 affected the world so badly. We're all aware of the same. Office routines shifted. Even my husband, he was assigned work from home. And everything that followed, we decided that we have to return to our place in such circumstances. And for that reason, also gave a notice to the tenant to surrender the flat for our personal use. Although Miss Reddy, she blatantly refused to do so before the said deadline. We repeatedly reached out to them, but they are not picking up our calls. No response at all. This made us so anxious that we decided to visit our apartment. It would have been easier only if we did not witness the conditions ourselves that our flat is put through. With the keys deposited in the society, we opened the door of the flat, which was locked from the past 6 months. The condition of the flat furthermore is upsetting to me. Like water seeping in from the windows, water stains on the ceiling, peeling paint in the washroom. Considering that they've not been living in the apartment from the last 6 months, I do not understand the issue from their side. The irresponsible behavior of not paying up the calls at all is all the more confusing to me. When they are not staying in the apartment from the last 6 months, why can they not give our apartment back to us when we are in need of the same? It is our flat after all. What is the problem? I do not understand. Why can they not give it to us? Like, why cannot they vacate?
Okay, Mrs. Chellappa, from what you have told, I understand that you love your apartment a lot and you would like to come back to the place, right? And you're upset that your landlady is not picking up the phones. I can see you're visually also upset about it, that they're not picking up the phone regarding to talk about the issue, right? Also, you're upset about the this thing of the house, right? The upkeep of the house. You're not happy the way your house has been maintained and kept, right? So Is there anything else that you would like to add? I see these three as the main issues from what you have told me. Anything else you would like to add? Or
Indeed, ma'am.
these are the three issues, right?
Ma'am,
Okay,
just this
so
one thing that
Yeah.
I am the landlady and Miss Reddy and her family are the tenants.
Yeah.
And they're not vacating our flat.
Yeah, I can see
Just
you're
a
upset.
moment. Yeah. Now you see the way the association president has neutralized the issues, the emotions relating to the tenant not vacating and landlord getting upset. She has stated it as, you are upset with the tenant not vacating your apartment and the condition of the house and the tenant not picking up telephones. Now in the mediator summation, the statements are removed of emotional loading. They are made neutral statements. A person cannot say he's not behaving properly to me. It's not right. It's not wrong. These are the things the parties can say. But the mediator will only identify the issue, that is the behavioral issue. He cannot pass judgment saying this person has done this, behaved wrongly or rightly or so on. So the mediator here has identified the three issues being the flat not being vacated, telephone calls not being answered, and the condition of the flat. So these are the three issues. Now another perspective of the mediator summing up the party statement is that when the mediator is stating what he or she has understood of what the party has said, it ensures that the communication between what is being said and what is being understood is clear. Yeah, what the party is saying is correctly understood by the mediator. This is the purpose of the summary statement. And the third thing is, when the mediator is stating what one party is speaking about a particular issue, it also gives a chance to the second party to know what is it that the first party is feeling about the issues. Yeah. So these three things, reasons are there behind the summary statement by the mediator. Now, can I request ma'am to talk to Mrs. Reddy?
Yeah, can I request Mrs. Reddy to talk about her issue regarding this conflict?
Yes, ma'am. Madam, firstly, thank you for inviting me to this meeting. Madam, I, along with my parents, my school-going children, and my husband, have been living in this apartment since we recently took it on lease. Both my father-in-law and my mother-in-law are a part of the senior citizen club here in the society. Every evening, they spend their time in the club, have made a lot of friends here. Even my children have made a lot of friends here. Hearing about their day after they return gives me so much of happiness. Madam, the COVID-19 pandemic hit in the year 2020, and my husband's employers announced work from home. The schools were closed, the domestic help was not allowed in the house. So we decided to move to our village. So in October, we shifted to our village for some time. Madam, while we were adjusting with the prevailing pandemic, and as if one problem was not enough, it was already tough for us. You see, people are losing their loved ones. And in midst of all of this, we started getting numerous calls from Mrs. Chillappa. Mrs. Chelappa was wanting us to vacate the flat immediately. She served us a notice for the same in the name of leaving the house in the middle of the pandemic. Madam, so many people are on their deathbeds and we're being asked to leave like this. This is unexpected. How can they expect us to move out in the middle of all of this chaos in this pandemic? Madam, moreover, our neighbors called me to inform that in our absence, Mrs. Chelappa came and checked our flat and did not find it properly maintained. Madam, I want you to know that I've always been very particular about keeping my house nicely, and I was deeply hurt when I saw that just because the apartment was locked and kept, my flat got into that state. I've always kept my house neat and tidy. Whenever my friends used to visit my house, they always used to compliment as to how nicely I've maintained my house. You would not find a speck of dust when you visit my house. Since the very beginning, Madam, I've been so passionate about it that I've kept many plants in and around my house. I've always given my best to take care of the house. And after doing so much as I can to take care of the house, it is utterly upsetting to hear comments that it is not taken well care of, it is not maintained well. Madam, as an insult to this injury, Mrs. Chelappa has been repeatedly calling my husband, asking us to vacate, especially at this point in time when shifting is such a big problem. She keeps us calling ever so often, morning, afternoon, night. Is this the behavior that you would expect from such a senior person? Madam, so many people have lost their loved ones. So many people have lost their lives to this pandemic. Is this how you treat your tenants, especially in these testing times? Madam, my husband is a very busy senior functionary. He never gets angry. He's very understanding, would never indulge in any arguments. But these repeated calls are testing his patience as well. It's high time Mrs. Chelappa understands our problems as well. Madam, I've come here so that this problem gets solved. It's burdening for me to see everyone in the house lose their sleep because of this.
Okay, Mrs. Reddy, as I understand, you are upset that with the pandemic going on and so many deaths happening around, and in this situation, you're being asked to vacate your apartment, and you're upset about that. And people and Mrs. Chelappa or Mr. Chelappa, who have been trying to reach you out n number of times, calling you, and you're not happy about that, right? And also I find that you are upset about your reputation about maintaining your apartment clean. You keep your house really clean, and you feel upset that someone is questioning your reputation as a person who has not maintained the apartment, right? So I feel these are the three major issues from your side. So would you like, is that it, or is there anything else that you would like to add?
Madam, that would be it.
Okay. So you see in this situation, how the mediator has done the summation statement. Like in the case of Mrs. Chelappa, the issue was about the condition of the flat, that it was in bad condition. Whereas in the case of Mrs. Reddy, the issue is about her reputation about maintaining the flat well. The reputation, because she's gone at length speaking about how nicely she maintains the house. Now, secondly, Mrs. Chelappa has stated that they've been calling them up and there is no response, irresponsible behavior. And this is what Mrs. Chelappa thinks, that they are not responding. Whereas Mrs. Reddy, she considers that it is an issue of treatment being given to a tenant. So the issue of telephone calls comes under maybe a behavioral issue in one context and treatment issue on the other context. And also in the role play by Mrs. Reddy or by anyone else, it is important for the mediator to observe not only what is being said, to also observe what is not being said but expressed. Like for instance, Mrs. Reddy, in the beginning, she was cheerful and nice, speaking about the house, the lease, and so on. But midway, maybe after a while, she was, she bent her head, and then the mood, it kind of changed. She was speaking repeatedly about deaths in the pandemic and so on. And she was not as cheerful as she was in the beginning. So these are some of the things that one has to keep in mind, make a note of when one is taking opening statement, so that as we try to bring facilitation of the problem between these two people so that they come to amicable settlement, we have to keep all of these things in mind so that we can ask them more about why is it that you were upset? Was there something that upset you? Or what happened? How? Why? And so on. So all of this we will be doing in the session day after tomorrow. So this is the setting of how the opening statement is done by the mediator and by the two people. This is the starting of the mediation. It doesn't take more than 8 to 10 minutes max. And like I stated in the rational emotive therapy theory, both the people have stated so much of information they have given. Yeah, both Mrs. Chellappa and Mrs. Reddy. It is important for the person who is trying to assist in resolution of the problem to listen and to make notes. Making note is very important in mediation of what could be the issues or reason for the tussle between these two people. Note taking also is observed in mediation competitions. Note taking also is observed, how the mediator is conducting himself. That also is taken into account. And the voice of the mediator also, it has to be calming and unruffled, that way. No matter how emotional the two people into the fight situation get, the mediator is a calming influence. He tries to facilitate the resolution process. Yeah. So with this, we will kind of stop the session for today for a while. I would like to show a video clipping for 4 to 5 minutes. Please log on once more. Yeah, it's a very important clipping which I want you to see. This will be in relation to the opening statement of today, because tomorrow's practice session, although I thought we should not record, we will be recording the practice sessions of all three participants, Bharti, Nandini, and Vandana, so that you learn how to do it. Yeah. Okay. Bye. We'll end the session. Thank you.
We should
and
join
just
with the
1
second
minute.
link.
Thanks to the two students from Jagran Lake University. Astha Jain is Mrs. Chellappa, and Srishti, what's your full name? I'm not able to pronounce it.
Ma'am, Srishti Kherwar.
Srishti Kherwar has become Mrs. Reddy. They also did the makeup like this, to put bindi, specs, and choti and all that. And they've really done a lot of practice for this. My heartfelt thanks to you. Yeah? Okay. Bye then.
Thank you, Srishti, for the background.
Some conflicts are between nations, others are between nations. The question is not whether you have conflict, but how you deal with it. You fight back, you talk to court, decide who's right or wrong. Or what have you done to my yard? What are you talking about? There, look what you've done, you idiot! Get out of here! Who are you?
Well, thank you for coming to the mediation.
These parties decided to give mediation a try.
Participate in the process. The way that we're going to begin today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what mediation is, and then we will start the actual mediation. So mediation is the opportunity for the two of you to work through your differences by talking about it with the help of a neutral third-party mediator. It's the mediator's job to help you to talk and reach agreement. We do not tell you what to do. We do not judge and decide who's right or wrong. Nor do we give you any advice. So what comes out of this today is up to you. If you do reach agreement, it will be you who decide what that agreement looks like. If you reach a point where you feel that the mediation is not working and you wish to end it, you may do so. And similarly, we as mediators have the opportunity to end the mediation at any time. When we begin the process is we will begin by meeting with the two of you together, and then if we think it will be helpful, we will meet with each of you individually. Everything said in mediation is confidential. In the event you did go to court, you cannot be called in to testify. Anything said in individual session is also confidential and cannot be disclosed to the other party unless you agree that it can be disclosed.
Establish a couple of ground rules, just some basic ones. Try and use respectful language. Try and speak one at a time. We understand that some of the things said here may be upsetting and you may want to interject. And if it's not your turn, we ask that you take some notes. We do want to hear your questions. We want everyone to be able to have a chance to say what they need to, but we do want to try and give people an uninterrupted chance to speak. Before we begin, we ask everyone to sign an agreement to participate in mediation, which covers some of what we've just explained, but also cites the relevant Massachusetts law about confidentiality. If you want to have a quick read over it and then sign on to it, we as mediators will also sign on to it. How are you folks comfortable? The person who contacted the program, we typically have go first.
And start screaming at it. Now, I didn't even know who this person was. And I just have this person at my door yelling at me and calling me names, cursing at me. It was unbelievable. I had no idea what was going on. And finally, it came out that he was upset about some yard work that I had done. And I got so angry at him for coming to my house on a Saturday morning and yelling at me that slammed the door in his face. Now, it turns out he's my next door neighbor, but I just moved in a few weeks ago, so I didn't even know who he was. And my wife said I should really come to mediation because you don't want to have to live in this house with a crazy next door neighbor who is really angry at us for whatever reason.
So the key thing that I heard there is you didn't even know who Bert was when he came, and you said knocking loudly on the door on Saturday morning that you were angry that this person was knocking on the door and you weren't even aware why.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous.
And one thing that you might be interested out of this session is what I'm hearing from Bert possibly why that was. Right? You didn't know Bert prior to him coming over.
No.
This is the first interaction you folks had had. Bert was angry about some yard work that had been done.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
No, I don't know what he wasn't talking sense.
Okay, so from your perspective, the angry exchange, you weren't sure what was going on, and you're here to figure out what was going on because you were angry about the situation.
Yeah, and I think I deserve an apology.
You should have some kind of apology. Is there anything else that you want to add on that?
I just have one question. Is there anything else that you have done about this between when this incident occurred and today? In terms of contacting him in any way? Thank you. See you on your side.
Well, This family moved in next door several weeks ago into the home of where that had been occupied for about 40 years before by my really dear friend who passed away recently, John Morris. He was a great guy. He takes out his big power mower and comes over mowing my lawn and wipes out a rose bush.
So that's it.
But
That guy is so upset.
Josh, we're gonna, like I said at the beginning, we encourage you, if you could jot down your questions. I do want to hear what's going on. We just want to give Burke a chance to get his side of the story out before we kind of have a more formal. Thanks.
How do you talk with somebody like this? You know, he comes over, takes his power mower, gets into my yard, starts mowing my lawn, which I admit was long. It needed mowing. It's not easy to keep up a big yard these days. But he wipes out a rose bush that my kids had planted in honor of my wife who passed away 3 years ago. And yeah, I was mad. I'm still mad. I mean, I can't imagine doing that kind of a thing to a neighbor without even talking about it or asking. So that's, he's the one that wants to mediate. Fine, let's mediate. But this, that's absolutely insane.
So what I'm hearing is that you feel that the lawn and the whole area was intruded upon, and that you miss your friend that was there for your wife, and that this whole thing has some emotional component to it as well as.
It's got some emotional component. Of course, I miss my friend. But what I am angry at, and what I was angry about that day, still I'm angry about, is that this kid comes into the neighborhood brand new without even finding out anything. We don't have a fence between the yard. We've never had a problem with that. And he brings his mower into my yard, wipes out my wife's bush, and doesn't even bother to ask me if he can, that's what I'm angry about.
All right. So
And
you feel
apology, I don't think I have an apology. He's the one that has to apologize.
So you feel that he didn't speak with you before he came upon your property, and your bush in particular was taken down.
Been there for weeks and hasn't bothered to come over and say hello. I'm new in the neighborhood or anything.
So, tell me about the lawn and how the 2 yards measure up to each other.
Well, there's a space of about, I don't know, 25 yards between the two homes, and the property line runs.
So that is about the opening statement of the two mediators. So this is the opening statement of the mediator, and just watch how the two people are, reacting. The person who has lost people, it's more an emotional thing. He puts his head down, the breathing is heavy, all those things, they need to be taken note of. And also, this is called active listening in mediation. That is making a note of all such areas which are not spoken about, but observable. And then in the co-mediation process, you find two mediators. One of them is a younger mediator, and the other is a relatively more senior lady. And you can see that the younger one is interacting with the young neighbor, and the elderly lady is interacting with the elderly gentleman. So this is also to be taken note of. In co-mediation, there is a division of responsibilities about who will take care of what and who will attend to whom. Because it might happen that if the co-mediators, they reverse their roles, the opening up of the two parties may not happen the way it is happening now. Like the elderly person may not speak with, so now he may not open up the way he's opening up now if he has a young mediator sitting there. And the second thing was when the young neighbor was interrupting, the mediator took charge of the situation and told both of them that, one is not allowed to interrupt. Let us listen to the other person. So these are two things which I thought needed to be, stated to you. So other than that, you observed the mediation opening statement and of the mediator and the two parties. Yeah. So tomorrow, what we'll do is, as a first step, we will have practice of opening statement of mediator along with the role plays of the two people who are into a difference. Yeah. So with this, we conclude the session for today. And thanks so much for being there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.